Nourishing the mind, body, and soul for the Asian diaspora. Have you eaten? Hi, hello, happy fam. This is Ji again with another episode of Have You Eaten? And it's a podcast, as you know, where I bring on interesting people that I think you should know too. And today I have Lauren Lee with me. And Lauren is, oh my gosh, how do I even describe her? She is, yeah, look at her. She's giggly,
oh my gosh, wow.
but she's just this happy, bright spot in my day. And so I want to, introduce you to her and have this conversation. She also is a founder of something called Two Rooms, which is really amazing. I want to say it's not just a program or an event, it's actually an agent for community. So it's building community, creating places of belonging. And I just think that is so amazing. So, Lauren, welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here. This is so cool. I love everything you guys do. I'm a big fan. So, yeah.
Thank you. And we always start with Lauren, how do you identify?
Yes. My name's Lauren Lee. I use she, her pronouns. I am half Chinese, half white, mishmash. So and both sides of my family go back pretty far. So I'm fourth generation Chinese American. My family settled in Oakland, Chinatown family. And then my mom's family can trace its roots back to the American Revolution. So that's it's a very American family. I am an entrepreneur. I am an artist supporter. What else about me? I love dogs and I love music. I don't know. What else? I think that's it. I think that covers pretty much everything. Yeah.
You had me at dog lover. So
yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I have a friend who accuses me of catcalling dogs. Like every dog I see, I'll point out and be like, "Oh my gosh, what a cute boy!" Whatever.
Oh, that is so cute.
Yeah. No,
there's that meme where a wife sends a text to her husband that says, I fell in love today with someone, and the husband writes back, "Okay, what kind of dog is it?"
Yeah.
That's
relatable.
Totally me too. Yeah.
Yes.
So, your fourth generation, that just kind of blows my mind. I mean, so the only reason why it blows my mind is because I'm a kid of an immigrant. I'm 1.5 generation, so I can't even understand what that means to be fourth generation and then to be mixed race, right? As far as I know, I'm full Korean. I haven't taken an ancestry test or anything, but that's what I'm told. And so I would love to dive into that conversation and kind of learn a little bit more about what that was like for you growing up. And how that kind of shaped you into who you are today. So your family's from Oakland. Is that where you grew up as well?
So I grew up in the Silicon Valley, actually, which is a super weird place to grow up. Where do I start? So my grandparents grew up in Oakland, Chinatown in the 30s to 50s. And in that time, they were pretty poor. And so their story was one of we're going to be successful, upward mobility, all that kind of stuff. And so my dad became an engineer. My uncle became a doctor, very typical Asian American story. They both moved out to the suburbs at that time. And then they moved out before the Silicon Valley was the Silicon Valley. And so, so I grew up pretty much in the burbs and grew up upper middle class and white passing and Asian American at the same time. And Silicon Valley is very half and half Asian and white. And so I saw a lot of myself reflected in my peers, but not exactly who I was. And so I grew up with a lot of second gen kids, 1.5 gen kids who knew what all the Asian snacks were, could speak Mandarin, had a closer identity to it. And so as a kid, it was very much oh, you don't know what the snack is? Oh, you don't know how to say this and that? And it was very much a question of like, how Asian are you? Like pretty consistently. And I didn't really understand it at the time, but my grandparents also raised my dad during McCarthyism. And so what that means is that as a Chinese American family in the US during the Red Scare, all Chinese people were assumed to be communists, and that was the worst thing you could be in the 50s. Right. And so they set out to be as American as possible. And so they didn't speak Chinese in the home. So my dad grew up totally speaking English and only understood Cantonese because of my aunt who lived in the same apartment building, and was determined to like hold on to culture. And so because of that, my family became very assimilated and very American. And so like that was another layer of like, I don't know how Asian I am. Like I think not very much. And so like always kind of handling that as a kid. And then like as I got older, especially in college, like I started to get more into my identity and started understanding that there were reasons my family shaped our identity in the way that they did as a means of survival. And I don't begrudge them of that at all. Like, I think that what they did put us in a better place, as sad as it is and the sacrifices that they had to make. But it's still like, it's kind of been a slow process of trying to gain my Asianness back, and trying to understand what that means. Just for me and who I am as someone whose family immigrated like 100 years ago. And what does Asian identity mean for me as someone who walks around being very white passing, and like how much of my culture can I like publicly take part in if I look like this, and like, so it's, but I think like there was a time that I was very insecure about my identity, and now I'm like 100% secure, and I make jokes about being a white woman, and it makes people uncomfortable, and I love that. So, so it's been a journey for sure. It's very like, the Asian American experience is so vast. There are so many different things that people experience all the time that are not captured by, I think, what is very mainstream portrayal of what Asian American means or what it looks like or what it is. And so I'm very proud to be a part of the lineage that I am a part of, because it shows that like that Asian Americans have been in the US for so long, and we're not foreigners. We belong here. Our families have grown up here. Like my grandfather served in World War II. Like my dad went to Berkeley in the 70s. Like, I don't know. Like I have photos of like my grandparents and my like family in the 40s and 50s doing like the most 50s stuff. Like it's like there's a photo of all of them so like surrounded. They're like around a turkey at Thanksgiving, and they're all like, it looks like Americana, but they're all Asian. Like it's amazing. It's right. Like it's amazing. So trying to understand like what that means when it's your story isn't really in the media all the time, and like understand that it's still a story worth telling, so.
Absolutely. 100%. I mean, you said so many things there. But I want to touch upon this idea of being American, right? Because America, I mean, it's a culmination of so many different ethnicities and cultures. And can we really pinpoint, what does it mean to be American? And I grapple with that, a lot too, because when people look at me, they're like, oh, you're Asian, right. And right. having to really fight for the idea that, no, I am American. Like I am here. And, I've been here all my life, basically since I was 3. Yeah. So what does being an American mean to you? Like, oh man, what does it mean? I know that's a really, hard question, because I think it changes too. Like culture changes. Like, culture changes all the time. Yes. And so how would you define being an American? Yeah, I was just explaining this to a friend recently that like my mom is my white parent, and she is from the Midwest. She's, daughters of the American Revolution. Like her mom registered, and now I could if I wanted to. It's a tricky situation, but I like very, very typically like American is what I describe. And I think, and my parents have been married for 40 years, and they're still very much in love, and it's really adorable.
I think the reason that it works is that their cultures are really super similar. Like Midwestern white American is actually so close to Chinese that it's like they both value hard work. They both value indirect communication about issues. And they both are like very, but like very like salt of the earth kind of people. And I love that. Like I love seeing their relationship through this lens that I'm like, oh yeah, it's super, like they have so much in common actually, even though they're like a interracial marriage, you know? And I think American is, I think there's certain values that make people very American, right? Like I think the belief that hard work will get you places is very American, and whether it's true or not. Like I think that there's an idea that hard work is important, and that like that purpose is important, and individuality is important, and who you are and who you develop and to be, and contributing to society as an individual is very American. I don't know if I agree with those things, but they're definitely things that I see in myself that I'm like, okay, I like, as much as I maybe don't want to believe in these things, I really do. And like, I think that more than anything makes you American. I think that, and also seeing my family like try to mold themselves into a way that's like American, is also very American. That like, while you're trying to, while you immigrated, you still like want to be a part of what we have going on, and this like big American dream, and you want to be a part of it. And I wish that like the American identity was more shaped by our immigrant culture. That I think that there's like, I think it's like, what's the statistic? It's like by 2050, like more than half of Americans won't be white. That it's like, I wish that Americanism was defined more by that experience of like being different, being individual, having a story, having a background that does not originate here. Like I wish that was, because I think that's more American than like the white picket fence 50s, like, you know, the narrative that's touted by some politicians.
Right, right. Yeah, we all make America, I feel like, you know?
Yes.
So whether you're, you know, fourth generation, third generation, first generation, we all make up what's called America. And I think that's what's so beautiful about this country. That I get to sit here with you and talk to you about your experiences and share mine. And so, you know, growing up though, you touched on, you know, growing up and trying to fit into different groups, or being Asian enough. And tell us more about that. And, you know, what I'm guessing too, there was a lot of self-care that needed to happen, right? As you're like going through all of those things, especially as a teenager, or, you know, in those formidable years. So tell us more about that journey, and tell us more about how you were able to then grow up to be this amazing woman who is so,
oh my God, stop. I'm just
kidding. You know, you're now in this place where you are so, assured, and you're doing some amazing things community. Like, what was that journey like?
I think being mixed is an experience that a lot of people actually share, whether they're ethnically mixed or not. Because I think part of it is just wanting to fit in, wanting to belong, wanting to be understood. These have been themes throughout my whole life that I've been like, I wish that I fit in. I wish that, that I'd be accepted by an in crowd, or I wish that I'd like, that people would understand who I was. And as I got older and I formed more of my own identity, those wishes turned more into like, I wish people didn't assume things about me. I wish that people would ask me about my own background, or, because people would like, it's hard because there's not as many stereotypes about mixed people. So I kind of get to tell my own story, which is great. But oftentimes people won't let me tell that story, or they're not interested, or whatever, or they'll make assumptions about who I am. And like, I just wish that that people would just ask me questions and let me tell you who I am, instead of you guess who I am and be wrong, And I think, and the more that I dwell on that, and the more that I'm like, what is my wish for the mixed community? It's actually applicable to everyone. Like, I think that asking anyone who they are instead of guessing and being wrong will make the world a better place. Like, just ask people questions, be curious about people. be curious about their story. Because even if someone's like background and like you may think like, oh, I know another, you know, Korean American 1.5 generation person friend, their story is going to be the same as this other 1.5. They're not going to be the same. And like, there's going to be fun things you can learn about people and their histories if you just ask. And so like, I think my journey through that has been tumultuous for sure. And like learning to stand on my own 2 feet and learning to just, I think a sad part of it is like understand. I think I came to a conclusion in my mid-20s that I was like, I was searching for a community where I'd fit in and belong ethnically. And I think I reached a conclusion that I was like, I don't think there is one. And I think I have to stand on my own and be my own person. And like, maybe that will do something. And the most beautiful thing is like, recently I have, as I've been doing 2 rooms and I've been meeting more and more people, especially in entertainment who are mixed, I like make a joke. I used to make this joke where I was like, all right, well, I'm starting an Illuminati. You're going to get a letter in the mail. Don't worry. Just come to the address, whatever. And I'd make this joke over and over again. And my sound guy for 2 rooms, who's also mixed, was like, all right, so when are we doing this? And I was like, when are we doing what? And so we started making these, like, we started hosting these like potlucks for mixed people. And so we're calling them mixed mixer dinners, which I came up with and I'm very proud of still. And it's been awesome. Like, it's been like so rewarding to like have this place where we can all of us like misfit toys kind of can come to this island and like be around other people who have like the same experiences. And it's been so beautiful to see it come full circle to a place where I was like, there's not a place where I'm going to belong, to creating the place and having a place for people to come home to, basically, and say like, you know, it's weird to like have a room full of people be like, one person share like, oh, you know, when you're walking with your non-obvious parent and everyone in the room goes like, yeah. And you're like, oh my gosh, I've never shared this with other people. And so
that's so cool.
It's been really like beautiful. Like, I think like, I'm so grateful for the journey that I've had, that I hope that it's easier for future mixed people, that there's more of a conversation around it. But I'm also grateful for my experiences, that they've led me to this point, that I can turn my experiences into a community for people who need it. And then I also get to benefit from too. And like, I can finally find that home too. So
yeah. I love,
really
so Danielle, who is our HAPI mic producer, I think went to one of your potlucks.
Oh yeah.
And she was so happy that she was there. And she talked a lot about it, and how she felt belonging and all those things that you talked about. So tell the audience, though, we've talked about 2 rooms, but we didn't really go into what that is. Like, tell the audience what 2 rooms is.
Okay. 2 rooms is my baby. It is 1 room for friendship, 1 room for music. It started as a monthly artist showcase. So I picked 3 artists. I advertised the hell out of them. And then people come to the show. They don't know them. They're up and coming artists. And so you just have a great night of music. And the other part of it is like, there's this friendship angle where like in between sets, I MC it also. And I like joke with people. I'm like, all right, everyone turn around and tell someone hello, like go make a friend or whatever. And I've been told that it's very church coded and I'm okay with that. That's fine. But, and I was like, you know, I make a joke that I'm like, go make a friend, go flirt a little bit, like go talk. And, between those 2 things, like it's become this beautiful place that I've been dreaming of my whole career, where people feel safe, where people get good music that's cared about, where artists are cared about. And that's it. And like, I have all these other Easter eggs that kind of feed into these 2 values of quality music and quality community, which is like, I feed the staff and the artists before the show. Like I make my own food for them and I make sure that everyone's fed and feeling good. I pay artists a fair wage, which never happens in Los Angeles at this level that they're on. Like truly never happens. I pay my staff, also rare for music, to like have like a one-off showcase where they're not like volunteers or interns or whatever. I make sure that like I book people who aren't, you know, like kind of like dangerous or might attract like a dangerous crowd, or people who are like homophobic or sexist or racist or anything like that. Like I make sure that everyone like feels safe, like in the artists that I book, because they draw a community that's, you know, the people who identify with their music. And so like, I pay a lot of attention to that. And also like, I just care about the artists I book, which honestly, like the more that I do it, never happens in LA. Like I've been to shows for like all these different shows that are on the same level for like a year and a half, 2 years. And nobody cares about who they're booking truly at this level. That's like these new artists that are popping up. And I'm lucky to live in the city where people move to when they're ready to take things seriously. And so there's so much talent in Los Angeles that is like, they're doing the same thing as people who are not talented. And like, and the people who book them like don't care. And they're not inspired by their music. They're not whatever. They're just looking to fill a set. But like the way that I pick artists is different because I want the quality of the music to be good, but also like that means that I actually know them. I know who they are. I know what their influences are. I know what their fans are like. I know that they're going somewhere. I have a book that's like an autograph book that I joke with them, that I have all the artists and their musician, all their bands sign it. And I joke with them. I'm like, this is my retirement plan. Like when you guys become famous in 40 years and I need to retire, I'm going to sell this book and everyone's going to thumb through these pages and see like, oh my gosh, that was Town West. Oh my gosh, that was like Deza, who's now Googly Eyes. Like, oh my gosh, like that's so crazy, you know? And and they laugh, but I'm like, no, it's not a joke. I really believe in you, you know, like I really think you're going to be famous. And yeah, and it's just like that amount of care for people and quality is, you can't find it anywhere in Los Angeles, like unless you're paying like really big bucks for it, which I'm not at yet, but hopefully I will be one day. So I'm working on it.
Yeah, I believe in you. I believe in you.
Thank you so much. Thanks. Yeah.
And what can we do? What can we as a wider like community do to help make that happen?
Oh my gosh, come to the show. Like if you live in LA, come to the show, follow the artists afterwards, you know, participate in the community aspect. I'm looking to expand like the amount of things that I do. So I have like so right now I have a season ticket level where you can just, every month it's $12 and you just like come to every show, or don't, you can transfer your ticket or whatever. So that's like a way that you can like keep coming back and keep seeing people, keep seeing friends also who also have a season ticket, like you would like a baseball game or something. Like you get to know the other people who are coming often.
That's so cool.
I also have an artist development program basically. And so we have like a workshop that happens. So if you have anyone in your life who's like an artist who's like fumbling through like, oh my gosh, I don't know how to read this contract. Oh my gosh, I don't know how social media works anymore. Like it changes all the time. Or like, I don't know, like, is my branding good? Like, I don't know. I'm looking for feedback. Like that's what that's for. Cause I have spent a lot of time in the music industry and I like want to put all that experience to good use and pass that, you know, information on. Or if you're an artist that needs that information, that help, that's also what it's there for. And you get tickets to the show and I feed you, of course, again. And
there's lots of food.
Yeah.
I wish I was an artist.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I'll feed people like indiscriminately. It's fine. Like that's what it is, you know,
love language food is, right? I mean, that's kind of how we came up with the title. Yes. Have you eaten?
Yeah. You were like, what question should I ask you? I was like, we have shared interests. So it's going to be fine.
Yeah. You know, what's really cool about doing this podcast and meeting incredible people like you and having you on as guests is one through line that I've noticed is everybody has this sense of acts of service. So you talk so much about all the experiences that you've had growing up, you know, being in the music industry, all of your experiences, and what you're doing with that is so amazing and beautiful, where you're giving back to community and you're creating places, and you're not hoarding it. And so I'm going to pat myself on the back for finding you. Because
you should. Tastemakers should always pat themselves on the back. Yeah. Because you're creating community as well, like through all of this too, which is like, it's so amazing to watch like all the people you're interviewing. I'm like, oh, I should follow them. Oh, I should like keep tabs on them, you know, all that stuff.
but very generous, just kind people in the world. And, and a lot of times you don't really, unfortunately run into that all the time. And so doing these podcast interviews have been such a life changer for me even.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of woo-woo, but I kind of have been believing recently that whatever energy you put out, comes back to you. Because I think someone was like, oh my gosh, people are so kind at your shows. I don't know how you draw these specific people to you. And I don't think that it's a specific kind of person who finds me. I think it's giving people the space to be open and kind and vulnerable. Because I was thinking about it, I'll go to networking events and I'll just, the vibe is off and I don't feel comfortable being myself. And so I'm cold, I'm short with people, I don't really engage, and so I feel but I'm the same person that goes to 2-room shows and feeds people and whatever. And so I think giving people the opportunity to feel safe and feel oh, I can really lean into the goodness is that's huge. And you draw people who have those same values deep down. Yeah, but maybe they can't engage with them because the world is really hard to exist in. And sometimes you have to have a tough exterior. So yeah. But yeah, the acts of service thing is crazy. That is 100% my love language. It's huge because it's I realized recently that the way that anyone could show me that they love me without that would make me break down is just bringing me food unasked for. If they're just hey, I'm coming to your house, there's food. That's it. I'm done. I'm going to cry 100% of the time. And so why not do that for other people? Right. That's why not put goodness into the music industry, which is a huge, very brutal place that is exploitative and all this kind of stuff. Why not just cook people dinner? It doesn't actually cost me that much, so, it's amazing what little food can
Danielle also went to a 2-rooms show.
And
she was beaming the next day. She called me and this is what she said. She said, when Hello HAPI does events, I want people to feel the way I felt at 2-rooms.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And too, Danielle is a musician and she's a lead singer for Hello Noon. Yeah. And when she said that, I was like, oh my God, that sounds really powerful. But she's like, yeah, I want everyone to feel the way I felt at 2-rooms.
Oh my God.
So
wow.
You're doing something right.
Thanks, man. Yeah. I think it's just honestly, I think a little bit goes a long way. Just being kind in a place that is not usually kind is huge. That's it. I think that's, and I mean, someone recently was oh, there's this other show that this reminds me of. It's in LA. And kind of said it in a hushed tone, it was competition for me. And I was no. If there can be more shows like this in Los Angeles, I've done my job. I had a mentor, I've done a lot of work in Asian American representation in media circles. And it's been an old mentor who said our job is to put ourselves out of a job. We want to make the world such a good place that by the time we mention that this is our cause, it's irrelevant because it's everywhere, or that value is everywhere.
That's amazing. Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah.
Right? Yeah. That it's I hope that in 50 years I can say oh, as an Asian American representation, people be cool, you solved it. We don't need that anymore.
Yes.
Or
yes.
Oh, I'm trying to change the music industry to be a kind place where people care for each other and be oh, it hasn't always been this way. That's the kind of thing that I want out of a life goal or overall goals for what I want to do. I just want things to be better. It doesn't have to be awful all the time. It can be a warm place. You can have fun at a show and not feel unsafe. It's a very low bar actually. So I'm actually entering in at a great time to be doing what I'm doing. It's not hard work. It's actually easy. So
well, it's probably easy because your heart is in it and you love it so much.
Yeah.
So it just comes naturally to you because of the type of person you are too.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
I think I think a lot of people who work in music, I was mistreated. And so I'm oh, I don't want to keep mistreating people. I don't want to keep being unpaid or being the person who's oh, just do a, 50-hour week internship, or yeah. So I don't want that to continue. I don't want people who are struggling to make ends meet in LA to take an internship because they feel it's the only way. Like, I think that like the more we can enter into the conversation, like this expectation of people being paid equitably and given equitable opportunities in music, I mean, hopefully like it'll change something, because it's just been, I mean, for as long as the music industry has been around, like it's been this way. So yeah, hopefully things can change, but yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, a lot of the people, if not all of the people on this podcast, are people, I think their love languages are acts of service, and they're very kind people. And sometimes it's takes a toll on us, right? And so I'm curious, like, how do you take care of yourself? Like, how do you self-care when those times comes? Because not everyone is kind. Not everyone is going to believe in your mission, because that's just not who they are.
Yeah.
And when those moments happen, like, how do you take care of yourself?
Oh my gosh. So this honestly has been the hardest part of all of it, which is learning to take care of myself, or like being like doing like self-care in the ways that are difficult, rather than like, let me put on a face mask and nap and avoid the world, you know, like the ways that are like calling a friend and being vulnerable and being like, I'm not well, you know, like that is really hard for me. I think like, I think that's the thing that I'm like working on, honestly, is like being vulnerable with my friends and being like, I know I was smiling and look at these promo photos. I look great. I am not doing well. Like I am bad. Like I didn't leave my bed yesterday, all that kind of stuff. Like I think that has become a big part of my self-care practice, and like taking time to slow down and meditate and be disciplined about it, because it makes my day so much better. Or like, hey, don't get Postmates again. Go like make some food or eat the salad that's already in your fridge, you know, that has all the protein and the vegetables you need in there. Like all the hard stuff, you know, like I think that, I mean, self-care, the easy self-care is good too. Like I'll like, if I need to rest, like I'll do that. I got the, Korean skincare face mask that like melts over the course of like 3 hours. You know the ones I'm talking about? Yeah. So I have those that I'm like, if I really need to slow down and stop, I will put one of those on and be like, you literally can't do anything. You can't even like move your face or eat or anything. Like you have to like just chill. Like you just have to chill for like 3 hours. So that's been a good way to supplement that. But or force myself into that practice and meditate for that long. But yeah, so I think like that's honestly like, I wish it was something that was like, I've mastered it. Here's 1, 2, 3 steps. But really it's just an ongoing process of like being vulnerable and reaching out to people, because it always makes me feel better. Just talk to a friend for like 10 minutes. But I have to admit that I'm not doing well and share that information with them, which I'm not good at. And like, yeah, and just be honest with like what I'm handling or what I'm dealing with. Because like I think sometimes when you work in the arts, like, and especially being Asian too, like people assume that you're just playing around all the time. And you're not. Like it's hard work, and you're trying to care for people, and you're trying to express yourself, and it's all things that take a lot of care. And yeah, just being vulnerable, being like, yeah, I put on a show. It's the most fun thing on earth. I'm still really stressed, and like I'm going through it. So yeah, it's the hard stuff. That's how I self-care. Or I'm trying to.
I mean, it's the hard stuff that's going to make the big changes.
Yeah,
you know?
Definitely. Yeah.
The one other curiosity I had, and I have this with like most of my guests because most of my guests have not followed a regular quote unquote Asian path.
Yeah.
Right. So like my dad wanted me to be a lawyer. Well, I'm not.
Look at that.
And so, and the other thing that I think about too is I wondered how like your path was getting to where you are, because it's not a traditional doctor, lawyer, engineer, finance person, and it's in the arts. And so were your parents,
oh my gosh,
were they supportive? Like,
oh man, you know what's funny is like, because I'm mixed, like I I tell people the voices of my parents in my head are like, my mom would say like, follow your dreams. My white mom would say, follow your dreams. And my dad would say like, but in a responsible way, you know, or like, I remember really distinctly, I majored in music. I have a bachelor in music, and my freshman year of college, I came home for Thanksgiving break, and I was like doing something in the kitchen with my dad. And I was like, I asked him point blank, I was like, what do you think about me majoring in music? And he goes, well, you have to be really good at music to succeed. And that was it. Like, that was the whole statement. I would just remember feeling so crushed by that. But it was like, I think that it was good advice. And like, since then, like, honestly, that's the voice that I've needed, is like someone who's willing to tell me like, hey, like, let's be real. Like, let's talk about this. And as time has gone on, or actually, so I like went through and a lot of my music major was like, when I think about what my parents think of me, is very defiant. I was like, you know what, I'm going to do really good and like prove them all wrong, which is exactly what they want me to do well in school. So it's like, and then my summer before my senior year of college, I got this really great internship at a music festival. And I went to school in the Northwest, and my parents came out for it. And so like my parents were wandering around this music festival, and I think something clicked for both of them then, that I was serious about what I was doing. Like, I wasn't just playing around. I wasn't just doing like the scale of which I saw my life was huge. And I think that they hadn't really understood that until that moment. And since then, like, my dad's been my biggest fan. Like, he comes to all my shows, like whatever shows he can come out to, he'll come. And, he like keeps in touch with like current events. Like, there was like a specific time Anderson .Paak came out with a Tiny Desk concert. My dad knew before I did, and I'm the biggest Anderson .Paak fan. Like, I was like, oh my gosh. And so like, again, it's that curiosity that like, that he's so curious about this life that he didn't pursue the arts, but he's like really invested in who I am as a person, and he loves me, and he's like very supportive, that he'll ask me questions about my life and how it's going, and like earnestly listen and ask like all these different questions. And I'm so grateful. I think it could have gone any number of ways, but like, I'm so grateful that my Asian parent is like so supportive and like really gives me like good feedback. And even when I started Two Rooms and I was like, I'm doing this entrepreneurial, like, this is it right now. And I kind of like, I didn't quite go back to like that freshman year question of like, what do you think about my life right now? Because I was too scared to ask. But you know, at some point he was like, you know, I don't really understand like what you're doing. Like, I've never had experience in something like this, but it's really exciting, and I think you can do it. And like, I'm excited to see where it goes. And yeah, I recognize that I'm really lucky for having a dad like that, and love that guy. So yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's really great.
It's been a journey though, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I can imagine. I mean, parents want the best for us, right?
Yes.
Most of them anyway.
Yeah.
And Asian parents tend to be so pragmatic. And I think that's kind of where my immigrant father was kind of coming from. It's like, we came here for a good life.
Yeah, what are you doing? Yeah.
Yeah, like, what are you doing being a theater major?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember him.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah, you go ahead.
Oh no, I was just saying, like, you know, when I changed my major to theater, I think his response was, well, I think that could help you in the courtroom.
That's his like silver lining. He's like, please, please return to law school.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God.
I mean, he's right though. If you ever want to become a lawyer, it probably will help you. Yeah.
Yeah. My husband always says too, I should have been one. I argue a lot.
Or no. We're blessed to have your skills with us now, doing what you're doing. Honestly, yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
Well, okay. So when are your Two Room shows?
Yes, they're usually the second Saturday of every month in Los Angeles and in East Hollywood. I have one coming up this Saturday actually, and then the next, which I don't know when this episode will air, but August 10th, and then I have the next one on September 14th. So they're normally on Saturdays. You can always follow on Instagram and everything, and I'll post about it endlessly. And so you'll hear about it for sure.
So how can people find you? If you're an artist, how do they become, somebody in your showcase?
Yeah. So so unlike most showcases in Los Angeles, I actually don't take submissions. So normally in LA, you can submit to people, you can DM people and be like, hey, put me on, and they will. But I do take everyone into consideration. So if you hit me up, I'll look you up and listen to all your stuff. And I can only book 3 people a month. So it's a really selective process, and I rotate genres too. So it's a little tricky, but I'm always looking for new people in Los Angeles. Everyone is so talented here. Like I always say that good music is not a scarce resource, and that's a good thing. It's everywhere. Awesome. And it's really cool. Yeah. So you can find me on Instagram at 2rooms, TWOROOMS, 1 room for music, 1 room for friendship. And I'm also on TikTok, but I'm a millennial, so I'm worse at TikTok than I am on Instagram. I'm trying to figure it out, guys. I'm sorry. And I have a website, which is just 2rooms.us. That's a lot more professional. That's for the Gen Xers and boomers out there. If you need something a little more official, I'm on the web. I've got the website too. So
amazing. Yeah. Well, is there parting words for our audience that you want to give?
What's my advice? My parting words are, let's see. Every Asian experience is a legitimate Asian experience. You have to tell your story. Like, there's no one with the same story as you. And I know we work in representation and we have to be aligned and give people a simple message, but every story is unique. No matter who you are and what you have, you should be telling your story to your friends, to the social media platforms you have, everything. Like, just tell your story and it will make everything easier for all of us. And mixed race people, we have a home with each other, and we are responsible for making the lives easier for future mixed kids. And I think that we're gonna see a time that is really exciting for us, but we have to be responsible for making their path a little easier. So again, keep telling your story. Every story is unique.
Yes. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Lauren, for being here. It was so amazing to chat with you.
Oh my gosh, this was great. It was so nice chatting with you too, Ji. I love Hella Happy stuff. I'm so excited you guys are here and doing what you do. And yeah, it was an honor to be on the podcast. Yeah.
Thank you. And well, that wraps up our episode for today with Lauren Lee. I hope you stay tuned for more episodes coming up. And until then, may your heart and your stomach stay full. Thank you.
Bye.
Hello, HAPI fam. Thank you so much for joining us today. Make sure to subscribe, like, and hit the notification bell. And until next time, I hope your bellies and your hearts stay full.